So just got done creating some stuff about idealism, and got a question, basically, asking could I explain idealism a little bit more? And sure. So think of it like this: idealism comes from Plato, right? And I put an announcement actually out there a little while ago, in which I explained form and the in itself using cups or something. But okay, so here's the thing. Idealism is the metaphysical perspective that reality is more than physical. In other words, real reality is idea. And the word idea comes from the Greek eidos. That's the word E-I-D-O-S that Plato used. And eidos means, well, idea, concept, something like that. So let me give you an analogy, I think, that will make the most sense to understanding idealism. So if you go to the book 6 of the Republic, The Divided Line, and really watch those videos, the lecture videos. I get into all this on there too. But he talks about 4 levels of reality, right? There's the image, the physical thing, then you basically, a little Spock, right? Then you hop over the world of the visible into the world of the intelligible, right? And you get the image of the thing in itself and the thing in itself. Okay. So first he divides the world into 2, right? Physical, non-physical. The physical world is the world that's available to the 5 senses. Hence, everything living has access to the physical world. Even mushrooms can grow on a physical tree, right? A dog can understand trees and well, not understand. A dog can be aware of trees and balls and that sort of thing. However, the intelligible world is the world of idea. In other words, it is the world that deals with things intelligently and things in themselves. So while a dog might be able to understand a ball, no, I shouldn't say understand, I'm sorry, be aware of a ball, the dog doesn't understand what a ball is, it doesn't understand gravity, it doesn't understand sphere, it doesn't understand any of those things, because all it has is the physical world. Okay, so of those 4 levels, right, the highest one, the in itself, is also called form. And the in itself, basically, is what a thing is, despite any person's perspective on what they think it is. It is the eternal and unchanging idea of the thing itself. Here, that sounds odd, I know, but here's an example, right? Okay, so let's say you have dog, okay? There are many different types of dogs and different appearances. The physical manifestation of dog would be the dogs that you could touch. Now, if you say the word dog, you can conjure up any image of dog in your mind because those images are only based on the physical world. But you understand the idea of dog. So dog actually exists more in the understanding as an idea than it does in the physical world, because each of those physical dogs is going to die. Any one of those physical dogs is not dog. It is a representation of the idea of dog, and we apply the idea of dog down to that thing. Therefore, if you understand the idea dog, you actually understand more of reality than if you can sniff the dog's butt. Hence, dogs don't know anything about dogs because they don't even know what a dog is. They sense objects, but those objects that they sense, which we name dogs, they don't understand to be dogs. Does that make sense? So St. Thomas Aquinas gave a pretty good example of this. He said this. It's a religious example, but I think it makes sense anyways. So he says, envision the in itself or form, what Plato meant by that as the ideas of God. So think about this. Were God to create a cat, he first would have to have the idea of what he was going to create. Then he would set about to create it. So first, the blueprint for cat is something that exists in the mind of God. And then when, however, the matter is put into it, and here, poof, there's the physical cat, Genesis, whatever you want to call it, then you have cat on two levels. You have cat as the physical one, and you have cat as the idea of God. What St. Thomas Aquinas says is forms are kind of like the ideas of God. That is, human beings can understand what is meant by cat, but not totally, because we can't understand God's eternal plan, and so we can't understand cat fully, completely, and cat in itself. All we ever understand is cat in a certain perspective that we want to look at it with. So you could have, a veterinarian, an artist, a guitar player, because cat guts, right? A Chinese buffet, a cat lover. Put all those together and they will all understand cat slightly differently. And the form of cat is what includes every possibility about catness. But it's eternal, this idea. And so catness existed before people, and catness will exist after people. Even if there's not a single cat on the planet, there still is, according to Plato, the concept catness. And eventually that catness will be discovered, and people will whoever discovers it will understand. But whether or not there's someone to understand catness, the form of cat, the cat in itself, still exists. That's sort of the deal. Sounds odd? Yes. But when we say things like scientific discovery, right, to discover, discovery means you're uncovering something that's already there. So gravity wasn't invented in 1691 by Isaac Newton. Gravity was discovered. It had always been there. It's just that we hadn't come to that idea yet. But the idea was there to be understood eventually. I hope that makes sense. So what is idealism? Idealism is the belief that what is real is bigger than the physical. The physical is just one tiny aspect of reality. The truly real is the idea or the form of. Therefore, a human being who understands cat, but perhaps has never seen one, is closer to the reality of cat than the actual cat, who is a cat, but doesn't know what a cat is. Does that make sense? Hopefully.